Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for the last Premier League preview, probably before we know the next and the new and the, again, champions, because Chelsea are about to go to the Etihad, and I am, quite frankly, ready to get spanked. Which might not be fun. Let's be honest, none of these last three games are going to be particularly fun, but tomorrow in particular. Pice, I'll start with you. Thank you for coming on again. Well, obviously there has been a little bit of news which we'll cover. But yeah, my sleeping pattern is all over the shop, working night shifts and everything. So I've not been awake for very long, so my mind's a little bit scrambled. So I'm gonna try to hold up as best I can. This might not be the very longest stream that we've ever done, but we'll get through it and have a bit of a laugh, shan't we? Pice. Similar thoughts, like ready to get spanked tomorrow, or like is there even the slightest bit of delusional hope within you that you're like, might do something? They might be hungover from beating Madrid too hard.
I mean, we might score a goal, but I doubt it. I've obviously I watched the game, but yeah, I do expect us to get spanked, as you put it in the title. City were just unbelievable against Real Madrid. Real Madrid were really poor, but City were just on another level. You know, the way they just sustain pressure on you is just suffocating, and I don't see us holding out for very long. If we can get to half time 1-0 down, that'd be ideal, but it's probably not going to be a very enjoyable game, and who knows? I mean, they may even have won the title if Arsenal do lose to Forest tonight. We know Forest away is a difficult game, so we'll see on that. But yeah, I don't have much
Do
hope.
they need to lose, or would a draw also make City champions?
No, I think they need to lose. But yeah, I think tomorrow is just going to be probably about playing some young players. I think, we might as well, especially now we've kept Chukwuemeka back. Hopefully he plays. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but not very excited for it, to be honest with you.
There you go. No, neither am I. I will be honest with you guys. And to be honest, I think that probably goes for a lot of Chelsea fans. I'm very intrigued. Charlie, you've gone to a lot of games this season. Are you going to Manchester tomorrow?
Mate, I'll be there tomorrow. Shameless title party, enjoying the celebrations. It's got to be done.
Mate, proper Chelsea. All right. At the same time, you might as well, because at least going into this game, we're going to lose. God knows how many games we've gone to this season where you hope to win and then we lost. So,
mate, gone into virtually all the games since after the World Cup, expecting to lose. So this one's no different. Like, I know we're going to lose. So you just go. You're gonna you enjoy the day out. You enjoy celebrating Arsenal's demise, and you enjoy watching a phenomenal football team play, which obviously we haven't seen very often this season for ourselves. So it'd be nice to see some decent football, I suppose. But yeah, look, I don't think any Chelsea fans are deluded enough to think we're going to get anything from this game. As Pice said, the best we can hope for is we might score a goal. Maybe probably find ourselves 2 or 3 down at half time. We just maybe hope that Pep says to the lads, yeah, boys, go easy on them. Maybe we get a goal in the second half and it's respectable. We might win the second half 1-0 or something. But yeah, look, mate, particularly now with Badiashile out as well, to add to the others that are out, it's going to be a makeshift side, really. And as Pi said, I think we've got to be playing the younger players now, because there's been no reason not to for the last few games, yet they've still not all been featuring. There's absolutely no excuses now. We'll get into the team later on, but the fact that we've obviously kept Chukwuemeka back to cover the Kante and Kovacic injuries means that if he doesn't start or he doesn't get a decent chunk of minutes on the bench, then it's just a complete mockery of that decision. So, we've seen Lampard, we kept Lewis Hall back and he started. Chukwuemeka's got to start as well. So I think it's just about the most of just putting the youngsters into the situation and kind of seeing how they deal with it. And as long as we don't come out with an absolute battering, then we just move on to the next game.
No, exactly. And the more youngsters you play, the less bad, I guess, a possible battering it will also be in our minds as fans, in the opinions of more neutral pundits or whatever. If you play a lot of youngsters, a lot of inexperienced players, no one's going to be as surprised and as shocked and as ridiculed as quite as much probably if we do get beat quite hard. Just quickly, random point, guys. Brexit is quite a bad thing. I think, well, maybe not most people, but a lot of people agree. But you know what EU have come up with recently? That we attach lids to drink bottles and that they don't come off, and it makes it a right ball ache to drink and then to twist them back on. So
there's only one thing more annoying than that, is that football matches where they take your fucking bottle top away. Yeah. And so you have to literally, if you put your drink on the floor, it just gets booted over and it all fucking goes everywhere. No lids in the ground, which is a nightmare.
No, it is very true. That is very true. Got a top tip for you there. Don't tell anyone. But before the game, take a lid of some other bottle with you, and then once you buy a bottle without a lid in the game, screw the lid back on.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of effort.
It is, but a little lid, like at home, stick it in your pocket. No one's gonna know.
The amount of times, like the security guys have been like, you can't take that in, so I have to like literally like down a whole drink before going into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So like, either just buy a drink inside or just take the drink inside without a lid. They sometimes let you do that, from my experience. But if you do that, please don't throw anything on the pitch. We don't want that.
No, mate, I'm respectable.
Exactly. There you go. Pice, I'll take it back to you. First of all, can you confirm what Ashraf has said here? Like I say, I've not gathered all the news that have come out today. Is this a thing? Is this true?
According to Gaston, the Argentinian guy, yeah. I think this has been on the pipeline for a while, and I'm quite happy, to be honest, if it is true, because I don't think we need him in our current squad. I think we need a DM. So yeah, would have been an all right Mount replacement, but again, for me, McAllister more of a number 8, number 10. So yeah,
no, I do agree. I personally wasn't particularly sold on why we would need McAllister. Now, obviously, I never really knew what exactly the price point would be for him. So the price point obviously changes that always a little bit. But yeah, but does that at all change Liverpool's interest in Mount, though, Pice?
It could do, yeah, it could do. It depends how much McAllister is, and I think Liverpool. And I don't know, you never really know with Liverpool. Like sometimes they spend a lot, and then other times they just buy like 2 players. So
yeah,
can never really predict. Also, like I think obviously the Athletic was saying like if we sold Mount, we would want like 70 mil, but like more realistic is only like 50 mil. So I think they could probably get both if Mount is like 50 mil, which would be quite disappointing.
It would be in a way. It would be in a way, but yeah, it's interesting because I feel like I've not necessarily in terms of that they will do that, but I feel like I've seen a lot of reports how Liverpool need to revamp their home midfield, and maybe also I've seen like smaller reports that I cannot remember the validity of those sources of that they are planning a midfield rebuild. I'm not sure how true that is. Isaac says Arsenal draw is already enough for City to be champions. If so, fair enough. Also, Fabrizio quote tweeted one of his McAllister tweets and said, "Okay, the tick and Argentine flag, fair enough." Fair enough. Like I say, I'm not too upset by that. Charlie, are you too upset by that? If we miss out on McAllister, honestly, like Pice just hinted at, I'd honestly take it as well, if they get him, our owners can't be tempted to get him when I don't think we need him.
Look, I think he's a top player. I'm a big fan of his. I think he would have been good for us. But as Pice referenced as well, it's not the profile of midfielder we need. Yes, it would have been nice, but it would have been nice as an additional extra, alongside a defensive midfield player. So like Rice and McAllister or Caicedo. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't an essential signing. It would have been like a nice extra, as it were, in the midfield. But again, if Mount were to extend, if Gallagher for whatever reason ends up staying and whatnot, I'm not saying obviously McAllister is like those guys are any better than McAllister, but you kind of raise the question like where would he fit in? So I mean, I'm not disappointed. I like him as a player, but it's not the profile we need. So as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of one less player to be linked with, and we can really focus on getting a defensive midfield player because McAllister's not a 6, and that's what we desperately need in the midfield. We need a 6, and we probably need 2 6s maybe, but definitely one top draw 6, and then another midfielder, whether it's an 8 or whether it's like a 6 or an 8, or can play both. But yeah, no, I'm not disappointed in McAllister not coming to the club. As I said, it would have been nice, but it's not essential, and it's not the profile we're desperate for.
There you go. I mean, you're touching on it. We might as well bring it up, as we have been linked to some DMs. Now, not that we've not been linked to any yet in terms of Rice and Caicedo, whether you define them as a pure DM or not, maybe slightly different question. But according to record from Portugal, Chelsea are the new option for Manuel Ugarte, of course, from Sporting Lisbon. The belief is that Chelsea will be amongst the bidders when Chelsea ready to step in and challenge Liverpool and Aston Villa. Jorge Mendes, a close partner of Todd Bowley, is in charge of Ugarte's future. I'll stick with you for a second, Charlie. First of all, do you know much about him? Would you be interested in him? I'm no expert on him, but what I have read up on him, seems like a good player. Some people, I swear, have said that his passing might not be quite the upper echelons, but then again, that was someone saying this, so I'm not going to claim that that's necessarily true at all. But he most certainly, I've seen that he's quite quick. I've seen that he's strong in the tackle, like a bit more of a proper DM type player, which I guess he's more so than Caicedo, maybe even more so than Rice. Although my opinion on Rice has always been that the reason he does the whole running up the pitch and being involved in the game higher up the pitch for West Ham as well is because he plays for West Ham. And if he plays for us with better players, he would then just, be able to do more of the defensive duties and have to do less going in another direction. But Ugarte, is he someone you're interested in at all, Charlie? Like, there's some people seem to be really on it. Some people are like, meh, I don't really know. It's a difficult one for me to decide because obviously we've seen rumors that like apparently Poch wants Premier League players. So what are we feeling about this one?
I'll be honest, mate. I don't know an awful lot about him. I haven't watched any Portuguese league this season. I've watched him a little bit in the Europa League, particularly in the Arsenal games and in the Juventus ones as well. And it looks a decent player. Obviously, people that like stats, etc., and that sort of thing. He scores pretty highly on all those, on all the good metrics of a defensive midfield player. I like him. He wouldn't be. I don't think he'd be massively expensive. Maybe between 50 and 60, which obviously is expensive, but it's not as expensive as a Caicedo or a Declan Rice, for example. My only reservations are his age in terms of experience as well. Like, we desperately need some experience. Like, I haven't got a problem with signing Ugarte if it's alongside a more experienced midfielder as well. I don't think we can put that pressure on the likes of Ugarte, on the likes of Romeo Lavia to come in at their young age and be like, right, you need to transform our midfield. Like, I think that's an unfair situation to put these young guys in. We need a bit of experience in there. So that's why I've always maintained. I know Caicedo's 21 and he's young, but he's got that Premier League experience. He knows the league. Whereas, these guys coming in from potentially Portugal or elsewhere, they haven't got that know-how of the league. Now, of course, that's not essential, but it does help. And particularly for young players, like it can take a little bit of time to adapt. The Portuguese league to the Premier League, the hit rate's quite successful. Obviously, you brought Fernandes over, and it's not been too bad so far in the first few months that he's been here. But yeah, Ugarte obviously looks decent, strong tackler. Discipline's not great. I think he picks up quite a lot of bookings. I think he got sent off in the game at the Emirates, if I'm not wrong. And
he's a bit of a tackler. He definitely loves to tackle.
I think he could fit in and be part of it and like be a decent part of the squad. But my only reservations are that it has to be alongside a more experienced player, because we cannot go into the season having a midfield of a 22-year-old Enzo, like an 18-year-old Lavia or 19, whatever, and then Ugarte who's 20 or 21, I think. It's just not enough experience. So yeah, I would not against it. I don't know an awful lot about him. What I've seen of him, it looks good. People seem to rave about him. But yeah, we need an experienced player alongside one of the younger ones, whether it's Ugarte, whether it's Lavia, whether it's Kone from Gladbach. I think that's the way we've got to look at it.
Yeah, there you go. That's the difficult bit, isn't it? Because you talk about in terms of experience now. Okay, I guess someone like Rice would have a bit more experience, but he's not like super experienced. Right? Obviously, he's experienced captaining West Ham and taking them to European finals and everything. So he's done his fair share, but he's still young. So it's difficult. Like, we've not really been linked to anyone really experienced, and the best one from that point of view would most certainly be Rice, I would say. Pice, I'll bring up that article in a second so we can go through that. So, but just to keep the link on screen for a second longer. What about you? Feelings on Manuel Ugarte? Like, is he someone you're interested in? Is he someone you think we should go after, or is he more of a second, third choice option for you if others don't work out?
It's a very difficult one. My first choice, well, now that Rice is off the cards, pretty much, I'm pretty sure he's going to go to Arsenal. I think would be Caicedo. I really want Caicedo at Chelsea. I think he's so good. So yeah, that would be my number one. But Ugarte does seem like a top player. I watched him against Juventus, against Arsenal as well. And yeah, he does seem like a really, really good player. More of an actual proper sitting DM. And as you got up here, there's a lot of stats that are very impressive. And it is true, his numbers in terms of progressing passing isn't great. But as someone was saying to me, Chelsea fans, they want, an out-and-out DM, someone who's better at tackling, someone who's better in duels. then then they want a passer. So it's very hard to find the complete package. I guess that's where Caicedo and Rice do cost so much and come into play. But I think Ugarte is someone that is only 21 years old, and obviously can develop a lot. We've seen Joao Paulinho come over from Portugal as well and do very, very well for Fulham. So yeah, I think Ugarte is the next one on the market in terms of DMs from Portugal that could potentially thrive in England.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. It's not the tallest either, but he's not short. It's like 5'11", just about 6 foot. So it's definitely not short. And it's interesting. I mean, some of the stats, this was written by Connor who's been on the channel once before and will be back on the channel as well. On Pice's website, londonsfirst.com, link is down in the description. But let's just go through this quickly. So for people that might not know as much about him, get a bit of a better idea. Although every time you say things like, oh, I got to expect Rice to go to Arsenal now, I find it a bit sad because I know Pice, you weren't maybe all as convinced as some others were, like a few years ago already. But I've always felt that Rice would be a good addition to us. And yeah, my only hope is still that West Ham just outprice Arsenal, and that's the only way we can go in. But I doubt it at this point, like you say. But yeah, let's just read through it quickly. The next player we look at is the epitome of a classic number 6, defensive midfielder. Manuel Ugarte, the Uruguay midfielder, is known for sitting and protecting the defensive line, winning plenty of tackles and duels, and playing simple passes after retrieving possession. Ugarte produces in the top 99% of midfielders in tackles per 90, interceptions per 90, and pass completion. As well as the above, Ugarte is making 1.51 blocks per 90, top 84% tackling, 2.48 dribbles, tackling 2.43 dribblers per 90, of course, and challenging 4.58 dribblers per 90, both in top 99% amongst midfielders also. These are elite level defensive stats, and whilst it has to be taken into account he is playing in the Portugal first division, the player profile remains the same. And this is a profile of Chelsea player, profile of player I can't read today. Chelsea have been crying out for since Nemanja Matic, and that is true. Ugarte would also be available at around £52 million due to his release clause at Sporting Lisbon. The 22-year-old midfielder would be an excellent player partner for Enzo Fernandez, and both being 22 years of age would allow them to grow as a pair and develop a strong partnership for years to come. Charlie, when we read through that, does that make you a bit more tempted, a bit more interested? You know, having a release clause certainly makes the whole getting them a bit more possible compared to like Rice and Caicedo potentially. But yeah, like you say, obviously a little bit lack of experience. And also, if your passing isn't the greatest in Portugal, will you be able to handle the press that sometimes is deployed in the Premier League? That's what I worry about a little bit. Even if his pass completion is very high at 91.6%. So keeping it simple, he's most certainly capable of and good at. But obviously, I don't know whether when get pressed properly, which a lot of teams in the Prem do nowadays, he will also be able to keep the numbers that high.
There'd only be one way to find out is if we signed him, you know, and we just chuck him in. But I don't know. Like I'm not against it. Obviously, the stats are great, but stats only tell like half the story. So I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be against it. He's certainly not a bad player. It is kind of mad how we haven't replaced Nemanja Matic all these years on. And Matic is still making European finals, which is kind of mad as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind Ugarte, but as I said earlier, you know, we've got to make sure that we sign experience as well, not just young players. It's great to have all these youngsters that could be good in a few years. We also need some guys that are good right now to come in and make an instant impact right now. That's what we need. Yeah, it's fine to have a few players that will be good in a few years' time in the team, but you've got to complement that with guys that are good right now. And I just feel that we would need to make sure that we don't tip the scales the opposite way, where we've got too many people that might be good in a few years and not enough guys that are good enough to do a job right now.
Yeah, I mean, Pi said in our private chat that Enzo is good right now, to be fair. That is also true.
I mean, he's good right now, yeah. But I mean, not everyone's going to be great straight away.
Yeah, like, and there's a reason why Enzo cost 120 million. Ugarte would cost 50 mil.
There's a release clause, of course.
Yeah, but would they have given him that low of a release clause? Because like these Portuguese clubs ain't stupid. If they know a player is super talented,
they tried to increase it. but Ugarte said no, basically.
All right. How long has he been at Sport? Do you happen to know that at all, Pies?
I don't know actually. I just read the report saying they tried to include was it like I think Benfica tried to do it with Enzo, didn't they? Like they tried to make it even bigger of a release clause. And then Enzo was like, no, I want to move. And apparently Ugarte has kind of like done the same. Like he won't allow them to make his release clause higher. I don't know what it would be, but apparently they did want it higher. Because, I mean, 52 mil nowadays is still a lot of money. But, you know, most top midfielders are going for like minimum 70 mil plus. It's crazy.
Just one thing quickly. This is not to do with Ugarte, but like, obviously, back to McAllister very quickly. Like, Fabrizio saying that Pochettino does appreciate him. Are we in a position where we just have to do what Poch wants? If Poch wants McAllister, do we have to go and get McAllister for him? Like, is that where we're at, or does him appreciating him just be like, well, I do like him as a player, but we don't necessarily need him? I mean, what does that? What does that mean? Do we like give Poch almost free reign in the market, and if like the players that he likes, we try our best to get them? I don't really know.
I'm sure he appreciates like
Haaland, probably. Yeah.
I hope it's just a case of like I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't. It just doesn't make sense at all. Like, he's a decent player, but it just doesn't make sense. What do we need him for? Where are we going to play him?
Could you say that, like, could he just come into this, like, if Ruben joins AC Milan, would it just, I know they're not similar players, but I guess it's 1 in, 1 out in terms of numbers. I'm not really sure.
It's like 60 mil, though. Like, 60 mil. Like, we can get Ugarte for that, and he's actually a DM. It makes no sense. Like, unless we get McAllister and then, like, Lavia, but then that's quite young, and McAllister and Lavia you can just go and buy Caicedo for. So
maybe we're trying to build the Argentine World Cup team. Lautaro,
you know what? Like,
Enzo and McAllister in the pivot in the middle. Just let's see how we get on.
Would this be another cup team then?
Yeah.
All right, I tell you what, if Lautaro plays like he did the other night, then maybe I'll let Poch off on that. But I don't want like 4 Argentinian squad.
No. Especially if we have an issue with one, they all love each other so much. We'll have an issue with all of them all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? It's not what you want. It's not what you want. I mean, apparently Fabrizio said the McAllister to Liverpool is not done yet. Like Charlie just touched on, like Pice replied as well, the whole appreciates a player. Like you say, like he might appreciate a lot of players, you know, and he probably does. They're obviously Argentine countrymen as well, so that will, I'm sure, play a role. But if he appreciates 3, 4, 5 different midfielders, we don't know his kind of ranking, I guess. So if McAllister was to be his very first choice, then I guess we should probably consider it. But I don't think McAllister would be his very first choice. I'll just say it like that. But obviously I could be wrong. I'm purely speculating. But yeah, as it says down here as well, and like you touched on earlier, Pice, London's first was you guys that exclusively revealed that Chelsea were scouting him when Sporting played Juventus in the Europa League. If I'll ask you like this, Pice, in terms of, do you think that this one will happen? Well, on a likelihood of 1 to 10, if I'd talk you into having to predict something like that, even though, of course, we know it's a bit of a guessing game, absolutely. What number would you put it down as?
I mean, I did hear something recently on like the scouts. There was, I'm still trying to get like the full information, but they were scouting Lavia a lot recently, and I don't know whether it's 1 or 2, but someone or multiple did point out some weaknesses in his game, and sent that like quite a negative report back. So I'm still trying to find out more details, because I thought Lavia would be, you know, the pretty much nailed on, to be honest, with Joe Shields and that. And I still think Joe Shields will probably push the deal. But obviously Winstanley, Stewart, and obviously Pochettino will be the main people in charge, I reckon. So I'm not so confident on Lavia now. But I mean, we'll see. It still could happen. I think Lavia is going to be very cheap, and I could see that being one where we're just like, snap that up. That's, you know, he's Premier League.
How cheap do you reckon Lavia? How much do you think Lavia's price is going to go down?
I think you could get him for about 30 mil.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to knock a few. It's definitely going to knock at least 10 or 15 mil off his asking price.
Yeah, I think it's one that might happen. Even though like what I'm hearing on the scouts isn't so great, but I just think it's like one that's like like I said, like Premier League experience. He's young. He kind of fits into our project. Pochettino, like I don't know. I just always felt with Lavia, there's so many like ticks there already. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think Ugarte could be second after Caicedo because I still think we're going to go out for Caicedo because you got to remember as well is that these guys were. I know obviously Win Stanley and Stewart weren't like employed as like co-sporting directors, but they were still part of the hierarchy that we went for Caicedo in January, right? We put in a £60 million bid and then we tried to go for Enzo and we got Enzo. So I do think they'll go back to Caicedo because De Zerbi said as well, Caicedo and McAllister could leave. Like he's already admitted that in public. So, and I think with Caicedo, it's like, I've got to hope this don't happen, but there has been like reliable reports, Arsenal reporters, and even Matt Law saying like, I think Matt Law said, or David Ornstein said they could go for Rice and Caicedo, Arsenal. I mean, we cannot let that happen. That would be
even them getting Xhaka, like confirming that Xhaka's leaving in May, like that's them getting ahead of the game already.
Have they confirmed that yet?
Yeah, Xhaka's going.
I obviously I knew about the rumor and I knew that it was close, but I didn't know it was made official or anything.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question in short, it's very hard to tell. I would say Ugarte is still like third choice. Just about the prediction. I think it would be Caicedo, Lavia, then Ugarte. But saying that, I mean, this whole like
would it make sense to get Lavia and Ugarte?
No.
I mean, it would, but then you can't get Caicedo. So I think
or obviously Caicedo and Ugarte. I think Caicedo and Lavia make a little less sense together, right? Because they're both.
Caicedo and Ugarte would be, probably 130 mil, but it'd be an amazing pair, like to get both of them.
It would just be like, well, one of Enzo, Ugarte, and Caicedo would then sit on the bench, presumably.
But I mean, we could obviously like reportedly that Brighton are interested in Chukwuemeka as well. So I mean, could we do something similar with Caicedo in terms of like done with Colwell? You send them Chukwuemeka on loan for a season as part of the deal.
Yeah. I could see that happening, but they'll want him on a permanent though.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how we squeezed out a loan for Colwell, but I guarantee they're not letting that happen again. Especially now they've seen one of our youngsters go to them. They desperately want him. They'll be like, nah.
Gilmore's doing all right there as well, to be fair.
Yeah, he is doing very well.
He is. I mean, Isaac makes a reasonable point as well here, to be honest. If we get Lavia, what is actually the point in Santos signing? Because Santos is, 18?
Yeah, but Santos, I think Santos is still one for the future. I mean, I think we've got to remember the guy's never played outside of Brazil.
Like, no, it's true. But if Lavia is only 1 year older and then we have Enzo's 22 and say theoretically we would sign either Caicedo or Ugarte are also 21, 22.
Yeah, but if we send what's his name, Santos on loan next season, which I think we should to one of Europe's top 5 leagues.
I agree with you, bro. But, even if we send him on loan, when he's done with that loan, the other midfielders in this position at the club will still be 23. So, Yeah,
no, for sure. But this goes back to my point. Like, what's the plan with signing all these youngsters? Because you see a young, like, where's your path going? Suddenly you're thinking, like, I know Colwell will probably feature next season, but as Colwell, for example, you're thinking, right, I'm going to come back to Chelsea next season. Oh, Badiashile signs in January, left centre back. That's kind of my position. Like, what are we doing here? Are we just accumulating loads of guys? And then what's the plan? Because each youngster you sign is then another kind of blockage in the pathway for the previous youngster you signed. So what we trying to do here?
I don't think the likes of Badiashile, I think is a bit different, but like Santos, Fofana, there'll be others that we sign that will be, as much as the fans, will want to get attached to every signing, there will be some of those that are in a view to flip on for profit as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be honest, mate, I think even if we obviously we're not going to sell Santos this summer, but I think if we did sell Santos this summer, we'd probably get more money for him than we paid in the first place.
Yeah, I think Fabrizio already said that. Chelsea think he's already worth they already think he's worth like 10 million more than they bought him or something.
Yeah, easily.
A tournament or something like that.
Unlike Chukwuemeka, who probably lost half his value this season.
Oh, mate, Chukwuemeka's probably worth about 5 mil now.
Yeah, tops. Let's be honest. Because our managers all have to screw our players, which is fun. By the way, because I was talking about it earlier, Ugarte joined Sporting in summer 2021. So he's been there nearly 2 seasons now.
Right, how mad is it though that I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, when we signed Chukwuemeka right in the summer, Tuchel was like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely going to be part of the first team plan straight away," and he's fucking barely played.
I mean, to be fair to Tuchel was obviously got gone very quickly. So
he was.
I'll give Tuchel the benefit of the doubt that he would have used him more. But if I'm being honest, do I really see that he would have done that?
Nah,
not really. Purely because I still don't see in Tuchel's main formations. Well, to be fair, before we sacked him in the summer, he did play around with formations. He played like some 4-back, some mixes, some 4-2-3-1, some 4-2-2s. Like there was all sorts of things going on. So he might have found a spot for Chukwuemeka. But if we would have reverted to a 3-4-3, 3-5-2 for the long run eventually over the season had he stayed, I'm not really sure what position you put him in there. He's not a pivot. He's not, inside 10, inside, second, like almost centre forward behind a striker. He's neither of those two. So, yeah, God bloody knows at this point. God bloody knows. But as we're talking about young players and what we're doing with all of them, one thing that seems to have come out, and this has come out from Felix, but as Pice will also agree with in terms of the youth team, Felix has a very good track record, and his exclusive from earlier in the day is that he understands Tudio Mendel Idowu will leave Chelsea this summer, one of the most talented players that we currently have in the academy, as far as I'm aware. Juve, Milan, Bayern, PSG, and Monaco leading the chase, with further clubs in Spain and Belgium expected to make offers. Currently, the race is open. Clear plan for development thought to be key for Tudo.
Like 15 or something, or 16.
I don't know.
I think he's one of the two. But like, what I would say on this, I mean, you haven't even asked me. I'm just going to say it anyway. But what I would say on this, right, is that I think it's not going to be a Chelsea problem, but it's becoming more and more apparent now that with a lot of young guys going abroad early on, there's a lot more first team opportunities in Italy, in Germany, etc., for these young guys to go and play. You only have to go and look. Like Sancho was the trailblazer for that in terms of going to Dortmund when you're young. Bellingham doing the same. You look at Byron Gittins as well, who's gone out there. You look at Illing Jr. at Juventus. Like, there's actually more viable first team opportunities abroad now than there is within the Premier League. And I suppose you have to look at someone like this Tudor guy. And obviously, like, I don't watch a lot of the academy. He's obviously
he's actually 18, by the way.
Oh, well, I don't watch a lot of the academy. He's obviously a decent player. But ultimately, like, as I said, they've got to do what's best for their career. And there's not going to be a path to the first team at Chelsea for every single academy player. So I don't think we should be shocked every time something like this comes up, because A, there's not going to be a path for every player. And B, you've seen young British guys go abroad now and make a success for themselves and get regular minutes in a Bundesliga, in a Serie A, in a whatever it is. So I think this is just going to be something that is part and parcel of the game now.
Yeah, and it's also part of an issue that will happen. At like the bigger the club, the more difficult it is to make the first team. Therefore, the more likely, as much as you might have the best academies, it's still very difficult to keep them. Right? But the only thing I find a bit strange here is that Felix goes on to say that Tudor wanted to stay at Chelsea, but it didn't work out. Well, why not? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I suppose you've got to look at it, right? How is he going to feature in the first team with Sterling, with Mudryk, with Madueke, etc.? Where is he going to get regular minutes that he wants and those young players need at that stage of his career?
Also, Mendel Idowu, I think he plays on the left and the right wing. And you've got to remember as well, we've kind of all forgotten Amari Hutchinson as well, who we signed from Arsenal. And he's probably going to be another one that's going to really struggle. I want him to go out on loan next season. So, yeah, I mean, I don't watch much of the academy, but I've seen a lot of clips of this guy, and he's very, very talented. I think Felix did a thread on him, actually. Yeah. A lot of clips, very talented player. We also lost someone that was very talented. He plays for Juventus now.
Illing Jr. Yeah,
Illing Jr. Yeah, he's very talented as well.
Very good.
So, yeah, let's just hope it doesn't come back to bite us in 3 years' time or something. But yeah, it's like Musiala, right? Musiala, no one really knew he played for our academy. Look at him now; like, it happens. It sucks, but this is just, this is a consequence of how good our academy is. That's the reason. It's a consequence of how good we are and how much we scout and develop these guys in the academy.
People also need to realise as well that the purpose of the academy is twofold. Absolutely, to provide players that are good that can play in the first team, but it's also to make money as well. The academy is twofold. So, like, the academy is doing its job. It's producing players for the first team, and it's earning us a profit. So the academy is functioning better than it ever has in both aspects of that. But I would also maintain that if you're good enough, you'll play. Like that you'll get the opportunities if you're good enough. Now, I've not watched any of this guy at all. I've seen a few clips. I'm not suggesting he's not good enough, but generally speaking, like by the time you're 18, you generally would have heard of these guys. If we're being honest, I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, but normally you'd hear a few whispers here and there. You'd be in some first team training, you'd be sniffing in and around the squad. You would have thought if you're that good at 18, you should be knocking on the door, really.
Also, it's a fair point. I mean, I did hear of him. I can't remember when exactly, but at some point this season, can't remember when it would have been this year or maybe still last year, but still this season. Not 100% sure. But even though I agree with pretty much everything you said, Charlie, it's obviously frustrating when what you talked about happens to the one or two best ones.
Yeah, of course.
From one year group, I guess, age group. That's when it's frustrating because the best one or two you want to either make the first team or keep for long enough to actually sell them for good profit, good money. Because now at 18, as much as he's talented, he's going to get less money than, say, at 21. So that's, I guess, what's frustrating. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, I haven't watched him play. I've seen clips, but I haven't watched him play, so I can't sit here and say I'm crying my eyes out over it. But it's still frustrating. I mean, we spoke about the potential of us buying stakes in Strasbourg, in France, the other day. It's a shame. I'm not sure if we would have got that done sooner or whatever. Maybe that would have made things possible. But if that would have made things different and made Tudor maybe potentially stay, then they would have just told him, yeah, well, we're buying this other club and there you will get game time and everything. So, yeah. At the same time, like Jazza in the chat says as well, we can't keep them all. That is also true. We can't keep them all. But we want to keep the best ones. Not let the best ones go and then keep, the third, fourth, fifth best ones, because they're never going to make the first team long term. Absolutely not. So, it's a bit of a tricky one, a bit of a shame if this does happen to turn out this way. But if so, it is what it is. What can you really say? Well, one thing that I'll bring up quickly, because it's very much not a particularly good source, but 90 Min has apparently reported that, and I haven't read the whole thing yet, but Joshua Kimmich is apparently considering his Bayern Munich future. The main link was that he might be interested to go to Barcelona, but apparently, according to 90 Min, Chelsea have been contacted. Now, I don't see this as happening. Don't really see that he fits what our owners want to do. But in my humble opinion, he would potentially be the best player we could sign in this position of anyone. If there was a possibility of making this happen, I think we should do every single thing we can to make it happen. But yeah, it's obviously probably not going to happen. It's just a bit of a dead rumor, but I thought I'd touch on it quickly. But Pice, obviously, I assume you're going to agree in terms of the validity of the source. But if we live in a dream world for a second, it would be good though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I don't think this is true. I mean, it is possible though that if he is considering leaving Bayern, I mean, it's very possible. It's very
baffling if he would actually want to leave Bayern, because to me, he's kind of the heir to Thomas Müller, where Thomas Müller is obviously slowly aging and fading out now. Thomas Tuchel isn't using him every game. They need a new mainstay. Bayern have always had a mainstay that's always in the team, whether it was Oliver Kahn or God knows how many of those types of players, Philipp Lahm beforehand. I thought Kimmich would be that guy. So if the reports are true that he wants to leave, I'm shocked by that, if I'm honest. But, I'll take it, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know he's been there a long time, but I mean, I guess he may want a new challenge. But yeah, I think it's very common that agents do contact top clubs, especially that are in the market for midfielders. So, I mean, it could be true, but, this is not a source that we want to really go, oh, yeah, that's definitely true. So,
Very good, true. I mean, Lee Taylor says Kimmich doesn't even have an agent. So who's spreading the news? I don't know. If you're right and he doesn't have an agent, I don't know. But Charlie, again, probably not going to happen. But if there was a chance, that would be great, no?
Yeah, no, of course it would. You only have to watch Kimmich play to know how phenomenal a footballer is. I think Guardiola said something like he's the most intelligent footballer he's played with. It might have been Philipp Lahm or one of the two. Anyway, he can play in multiple positions. I mean, we've seen him play at fullback, I think, a couple of times. I think Kimmich has played right back or left back, whichever one it is.
It's just a tad slow for right back. Otherwise, his crossing is phenomenal.
Yeah. Look, he's a great player, but let's be real. I think the chances of this happening are virtually zero. But yeah, in a fantasy land, yeah, it'd be great. You know, you couldn't really get anyone better. But yeah, the reality is very different.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. Let's touch on something that I think came out yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Bit sad from my point of view. Chelsea are close to their first sale. AC Milan are in advanced talks to sign Ruben Loftus Cheek, as per Fabrizio Romano yesterday. Now, Matt Law, as far as I know, stated it not quite as advanced as maybe Fabrizio did, but still looks like it's going to happen. Like I tweeted, shame, in my opinion, one of my favorite players, my favorite player for years, since I first saw him in the academy at like, I think under 16s at the time, maybe under 18s. God knows how I, watched that game at the time, considering I don't live in England or whatever. But yeah, shame for me. But at the same time, I don't mind AC Milan. He's gonna, get together with his mate Tomori. So yeah, I'm just gonna watch a bit more AC Milan next season. Really, at the end of the day, I would have liked to keep him. I think it would have been a very useful utility player. But obviously, with having signed Gusto, that kind of takes the necessity of Ruben as a wing-back away. Therefore, as much as he's still a utility player, then makes him slightly less necessary utility, that he can also play at right wing-back. And yeah, as much as I would have liked to keep, of course, yeah, I'm in a position where I expected a lot of players to leave. And even if I had a tiny ounce of hope that Ruben might stay, I kind of expected this. So I'm not like too sad by it. But yeah, I mean, Charlie, what do you make of Ruben leaving to AC Milan? Do you think for him it is a good move, but do you think for Chelsea it's a good move as well?
I think ultimately, Matt, I think it makes sense for all parties concerned. I think it's the best deal all round. Look, he's been a great squad player for us in terms of he's not made a fuss about playing time. He's been able to fill in multiple positions, wing back, different positions across the midfield, and he's done a good job. The reality of the situation is that obviously he's on big money. 150 odd K a week. He's coming up to a couple of years left on a contract in the summer, or maybe there's just 1 year left. Like, he's not going to get a new deal, so we need to sell him. It's kind of, and I think for Ruben at this stage of his career as well, he needs to go somewhere he's going to play regularly and maybe feel loved again as a player. I'm not saying that Chelsea fans don't love him, but like, I think he needs to go and feel loved. He needs to go and play regular football. I think it's a real shame that the Achilles injury happened when it did, because he was in unbelievable form when in the build up to that, and it's just, look, we've seen decent performances from him since, but it's just not quite been the same with younger players now as well. The likes of Chukwuemeka coming through, other young midfielders are probably going to sign in the summer. You just think the minutes just aren't there for Ruben, and for Chelsea we need to get money for him because his contract's running down, and for Ruben he needs to go and play regular football again, which he deserves. So yeah, can't say a bad word about him, but I just think this is a deal that suits all parties really well. If you can get sort of 15-20 million quid for him, then I think that's a great deal all round.
Yeah, if we can. I'm a little bit concerned it's going to end up being like 5 mil or whatever.
No.
And at that point, I'm like, maybe just keep him for another year. But like I say, it is what it is. Pies, your thoughts on this? Similar to Charlie, different on maybe part of it?
Yeah, pretty much similar, to be fair. I mean, it's definitely sad that he's leaving. I think I said as well, I wouldn't mind keeping him. I think he's, been a very dependable player in terms of performances, not injuries, of course, because he's had a lot of injuries, but don't really ever think he's had like too many shocking performances. Like, there's so many players in this squad that you can go, right, yeah, I remember that was a shit game. Like, for Ruben, I don't really remember any. He's been quite consistent for us when he has played. Obviously, the injury when we played in preseason just fucked him so much. Like, honestly, it was so bad. Because he was so good that season. Honestly, he was one of the best midfielders in the league. Like, I remember the stats. He was genuinely like up there in stats with like Pogba and De Bruyne and all that on some certain stats. So it was crazy that season. But yeah, I mean, just thanks for the service. He's won quite a bit as well at Chelsea. And he'll be missed. And I just hope we can get 10 million plus out of him. That would be really good. But like you said, I do have some concerns because AC Milan are broke. So, well, to be honest, I don't know if Italian clubs are broke or they just don't want to spend like half the time. But it never seems like they don't. Like, it never seems like Milan's they don't spend a lot of money. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we might squeeze 10 mil out of them, but yeah. is what it is. If he leaves, I just hope he does well and thrives there, really. That's all I can say. We have a super chat here from Adash. Appreciate it very much, mate. I hope you're well. He says, what would you guys think of, I assume that means James Ward-Prowse, and the number 6, since Southampton have been relegated? It could be interesting as a midfield rotation. Hugely experienced too. Pice, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts? Like, interested, like, even in the slightest?
No. No, not for me. He's a very good set piece taker, but no, not Chelsea level, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I'm probably in the same boat, Charlie. What about you?
No, not for me. There's a reason why he's still at Southampton. Like, no disrespect, he's done a great job there, but there's a reason why a move to a bigger club's not materialised, because he probably isn't good enough to join one of the big clubs. He's definitely a Premier League player, of course, and he could go and play mid-table somewhere, definitely. But if you're looking at top 6 teams, nah, it's just a no-goer.
Yeah, no, I do probably agree. Sorry, Adash, not quite the fans of James Ward-Prowse.
There's only one midfielder you should be signing from Southampton, and it's not Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Now, I'm not sure. We do have a quiz from Bertram, but it was meant to be for last week, but we didn't get round to it. So I guess we could get on that. But what do you fancy?
It was about Forest, is it?
No. So it was ahead of Forest, but other than a little joke that's in there, it's questions that have nothing to do with Forest, so we can just apply it to today. Anyone down for a quiz, guys? Put it in the chat if you're down for a quiz. Otherwise, go on.
Go on then.
Let's do a quiz.
All right, go on.
Battle for you again. Let's go.
I've seen most of these already, so this time I'll act as a quiz.
So you've been cheating then, mate.
Me against Charlie then, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise I would just be cheating, right? If I know the answers already. I won't just sit here and pretend. But yeah, there you go. Let's get with this one. A few of the images in this one are quite blurry. I'm not quite sure what exactly happened here, but hey, here we are. I mean, we have Premier League survival. You know, obviously this was meant for the Forest game when we had just achieved Premier League survival against Bournemouth. But
Forest have just scored, by the way.
Oh, love that.
Against
Arsenal.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. And also Bayern RB Leipzig is happening, which is basically
good. Mate, I'm desperate for a Dortmund Bundesliga win.
As am I.
That striker who scored 2 against us has just scored.
Oh, what? Fucking a one year,
Yeah, a 1 year, whatever his name is. Maybe he should be on our list.
Hey, do you know he scored 5 in his last 3 now? Well, this Arsenal game's the 3rd game. He banged 2 in their game before Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
Mate, we just make careers.
How
many players score? Like, obviously, for him, it wasn't the first ones now, but how many players this season scored like the first goals of the season or the first goals ever? Oh, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Mate, I tell you what, Calvin Phillips pretty might score a fucking goal against us tomorrow.
If Calvin Phillips plays, I cannot see that happening. But yeah, let's get into this quiz. And it started off with a little joke. Again, sorry for the blurry picture. Good old Billy, I forget his surname, but
Phil McCulloch.
Yeah, there you go. But I do find this quite funny. Let me just read it out. There has not been much to celebrate this season from a Chelsea perspective. So how about a joke? What do you get if you cross a football team with a flower seller? Nottingham Florist. All right, Badger.
That's all right, that.
To be fair, when he sent me this quiz, he was like, if you want to sack me from quiz duty after this, I do understand. I did get a chuckle out of me, bro. So I'll take it. I hope everyone else gets a chuckle out of them as well. But yeah, now we're going to play something a little bit different, a difficult one, especially with the blurry picture. And I'm not 1,000,000% sure what we're always looking for and looking at, but we're going to try to figure out, have a bit of a laugh.
That's Drogba missing from that game.
Sorry?
That's Drogba missing from the lineup.
Yeah. Because he was the one.
But are we trying to figure out who's missing from the lineup?
Yeah, which player is missing from the lineup of this game?
But on the picture itself, or just off the named players at the bottom?
Well, it doesn't make a difference.
This is like 10 days ago.
It's Drogba, definitely.
I mean, Pice agrees. So I'm gonna just go to the next slide and see what happens, and maybe we'll.
I mean, this would be pretty embarrassing if it's wrong. It's Deco.
Well, apparently it's Deco. But
no, mate, I swear that isn't that the one where we won the title and he played Drogba in, and it was like kind of offside, but it wasn't given as offside.
Mate, I couldn't tell you. This is the 9-10 season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when we won under Carlo.
Yeah. No, I'm aware.
I think it is Drogba, isn't it? What? So we're playing a team with a Nelka, what, Anelka, Malouda, and Joe Cole as the front three? Well, maybe it is.
I mean, potentially, maybe Drogba was
What,
injured,
what,
suspended
on a
on
midfield
AFCON duty for all I know.
What, a midfield of Lampard, Mikel, and Deco?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a reasonable midfield to me.
I mean, it's possible. Wait, did Deco play under Carlo? It must have done.
I mean, judging by the kit, yes. But to be fair, that was obviously from the Champions League season. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure either here. But hey, apparently...
Mate, I thought that would have been Drogba, but obviously not.
No, obviously not.
Maybe Drogba came off the bench for some reason.
Yeah, maybe. Fair enough. This is a picture that instills nightmares. Honestly, Belgium, I'm more likely to sack you from quiz duty for this than for the joke. What rating did L'Equipe cook up for Morata for this performance? Obviously,
like a 1 or something.
Oh, fuck, I remember this. Oh, what was it?
It was an all-time disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was like a big thing because it was being shared around after the game.
He missed like 4 sitters, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a lot of one-on-ones.
This was the most painful game I've watched from a Chelsea striker ever.
This is the one we drew 2-2 in the end, no?
Yeah, Zappacosta hit the bar from like a ridiculous volley at the end.
Yeah. Very frustrating. I mean, any guesses? You said 1, Charlie. Pice, anything you want to guess now to this rating now?
I feel like it might be like a minus or something because I swear this was like a thing at a time where they were sharing it around. I don't know. I want to see the answer and see if I can jog my memory.
All right, let's go.
Maybe it was just a 0.
Apparently, it was 11 minus 9 is 2. Right.
So we got 2.
So you got 2. Okay. He got 2. Here we are. All right. Next slide. How many players did Hazard dribble past here before scoring? Liverpool away during the 15-16 season. This was basically the first game and goal in that season where you thought
this
Hazard.
That's at Anfield, isn't it?
Yeah, that's at Anfield. Remember when Hazard was basically dreadful all season, then he did 2 things all year. Scored that goal against Liverpool and scored that goal against Spurs, obviously, to win Leicester the title. And I think this was like a couple of weeks before that Spurs game. And otherwise, I remember he scored that free kick against Man City, but when City played like a C side, a C team in like the cup against us. But how many players did he dribble?
I think maybe 3.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 because
it must be these 3 here. I mean,
this screenshot though, I swear the move started before this because I saw he spun Henderson to start with, and then he like
he looks like he's receiving the ball here, no?
Yeah, I know, but like if this is this is the goal I'm thinking about. I'm sure it is where like he didn't even like take on many players. It was almost like he just sort of drifted, like shifted his body and put it into the corner, right? Like they were almost like backing off him. I didn't think he took on that many players. So, you know what, I'm going to go 2. But I swear the move started before this. I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because I think where you're right. I think he just shot the ball between these 2 rather than...
Yeah. It was like he was more out wide than this.
Yeah, I think he received the ball here and then probably like moved around here.
Yeah, you're right.
Dribbled past a couple and then went for goal, like through here and then put a far corner. But whether it's 2 or 3, I'm not sure about. I don't remember this answer, so I'm going to guess along as well. I'm going to say 3, Charlie.
Also, like, what even counts as like a dribble pass? Like
exactly.
Nowadays?
It's a very good question.
Simple, but it's not.
It's a very good question, Charlie. A number in mind for you? How many players do you reckon?
I'll say 3. I'm going to go 3.
Fair enough. Let's see. 7.
So that's what I mean. It's like what even counts as like a dribble?
What do you mean 7?
7?
I'm so confused. I mean, obviously, I understand Belgium in this case because, you know, you can't exactly show us footage of it because copyright. But, yeah, I would love to now not just take Belgium's word for it, but actually see it. But I can't show you now, guys, so it is what it is. Let's get to the next slide. Quizmaster Belgium's only ever lost his voice once after this goal. Still gives him goosebumps. Oh, this is actually a fun question, so this will be good. So take a moment after the stream to go and run it back. But here is a different type of question. By the power of Laurenz cursor, so here, how far out did Matic's strike come from?
This FA Cup?
Yes, the FA Cup semi-final against Spurs, and we won 4-2.
Oh, mate, it's like, I don't know why I'm pointing on the screen. It's not going to come up. It's like...
So, I'll start with you, Charlie. Tell me, do you want me to move further right? Like, tell me how far.
Mate, move back towards the centre circle a bit more, and then come to the towards me, if that makes sense. So further
down.
away from the writing, a bit more towards me. And then come forward a touch, like 1 square forward.
So?
A bit more. I reckon it's about there.
All right. I can't really leave a mark for where Charlie is, but we'll remember it was in this square here.
Yeah.
Pice, do you agree with Charlie, or do you think it was from a slightly different spot?
Well, I was at the top row of Wembley for this goal, and I thought it was absolutely miles out. And I've watched the replay a lot of times, but I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm going to try and go off memory.
Where do you want me to move?
I thought it was more like... Now, you know what? We'll go with Charlie's one. Because I think he's pretty much spot on. But I think it may have been a bit... Actually, maybe a bit closer. Like a tad closer. I'm not sure. I haven't watched the replay in a while, but I can visualize it in my head. We'll go with what Charlie did. See what it is.
It's a tricky one. Yeah, let's see what it is. I do remember looking at this, but I can't remember where exactly the answer was. So this is not really a guess for me because somewhere in my subconscious I have seen this recently. But I thought it was a bit more towards the middle, like rather than so far from the left. Because mind you, he hit this top corner here, right?
Yeah, but it travelled like a almost like
I still think I think it was just 1 square higher, but I could be wrong. Let's just see. I'll leave it on this one because this is what you guys predicted. Okay, so Pice, you actually made a good point. It was a little bit closer, but you guys were both very good in terms of the left-right sidedness of it. Very good, fair play.
No way it was that close, surely, or maybe maybe my optics are wrong. I mean, that's the pretty much not pretty much the edge of the box, but that's.
Yeah, I would say that's if that's 18 yards. How far is the D? The D is like 23 yards, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah,
from here to here is like 5 yards. Then that would make it about 30 yards odd.
Yeah, my optics is probably just really bad in terms of judging.
Yeah, it is difficult though. But take nothing away from that. One of the best goals any Chelsea player has ever scored, in my opinion. Like one of the most ridiculous goals literally ever. Absolutely crazy. All right, let's get to the next slide. I'm not sure what else we have to come, but we'll see. During our disgraceful City away performance during the 17-18 season, how much possession did we have at the end? Closest to the actual number wins.
Was this the 6-0? No, it wasn't the 6-0.
No, this is the 1-0 under Conte where we didn't even try to have the ball.
Someone, I saw a clip of this. Someone said this will be us tomorrow on Sunday.
Man, we lose 1-0
we
tomorrow.
Definitely won't only concede 1 goal.
Trying to just make Arsenal not win the league.
Yeah, but see, at this point, first of all, Arsenal are losing to Forest, but secondly, City don't need our help. No. City really don't need our help to do anything. They've got it covered. I mean, maybe this is a bit of an exaggeration, but especially at the time, I was like, this is the most embarrassing performance I've ever seen from Chelsea. And I understand we got battered under Sarri. I understand like the season after. And I still maintained at the time that I thought this 1-0 under Conte was worse than the 6-0 under Sarri. And I know some people disagree with that because like, how can a 1-0 be worse than the 6-0? And I get it. But to me, that was a game where we went into the game not even trying to win. Yeah. And that like we might sometimes be bad and we like have shockers and we play bad and everyone individually has a mistake is just dreadful and the manager gets things wrong. But in this game, not the manager, not the players, no one even seemed to try to win. We had Hazard up top. He had touched the ball like 5 times. It was one of the most ridiculous games and one of the most aggravating games I can ever remember seeing, honestly. But possession-wise, I would guess like 23%. Is that too low?
I'll go, because this is the closest to the actual number, which means, no.
Just we're guessing the possession stat.
Sorry. I'll go 25%.
All right, Pice, what are you going to guess for this one?
I'll go 31.
31, okay. 18%.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Wow. 18%.
Antonio Conte, you will pay for your crimes.
That is bad. That is very, very bad. All right, finally, Well, we'll end this one with one of my favorite all-time players.
I love
a weird
Higuain.
favorite all-time player. Gonzalo Higuain scored 5 goals in blue against 4 different teams. If you can name all, you win, I guess. Time starts now.
Well, definitely Fulham.
I got it. Fulham, Burnley, Huddersfield. That was it.
There's 4 though.
Yeah, it's 4. One more.
Oh, 4 different teams.
Did he score against Brighton? You know, in that game where Ruben scored the curler, top corner.
That was Cardiff, wasn't it?
No, it was.
I remember like a
it was
green Brighton away shirt in my mind.
You think Fulham, Brighton?
I'm not 100% sure if Higuain scored in that game against Brighton, but that Ruben curler I'm talking about, that was against Brighton.
It's definitely Fulham.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I looked at this. I have no idea. I have no idea. I
remember he hit the post against Spurs, but he didn't score against them.
No, who was the first game against? Who he scored against?
Watford.
Was that Fulham?
Did he score against Watford?
Oh, Watford. Yeah, that might be a shout. Didn't he round the keeper and chip it or something? I think I remember him scoring at home.
Or was it the one that he blasted into the roof of the net from like the tight angle?
No, that was Burnley.
Okay.
I think
we'll go Fulham, Watford.
Buddy's right. I think it's Watford. Pretty sure it is Watford.
Yeah. So like Charlie said, Fulham, Watford, Burnley, and what's the last one we're guessing?
Huddersfield.
Huddersfield, Burnley, Fulham, and Watford. Fair play. Look, I mean, this was mostly Pice and Charlie, not really me, but we'll take it as a team win. There you go. Let's finish this off. Maybe not the very best quiz Patrick has come up with, even though I did enjoy the joke earlier. Did quite enjoy that. Let's just talk about the team tomorrow, boys, and then we'll round this one out because can't really be wanted to sit here for much longer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, and there's not that many of you today, but I understand, we'll get spanked tomorrow, and hey, it is what it is. But if you are new here still, please do subscribe. I'd massively appreciate that, and hit the like button. Now, I selected a 4-3-3 initially. Shall we just pick in a 4-3-3 because we think Frank is going to pick a 4-3-3, or is City away enough reason for Frank to play a back 3? What do you reckon on that one, Charlie?
I'd be happy to go with a 3. The only problem is it's probably going to mean that Dave has to play at right wing back.
Yeah. I mean, Ruben could play, but
no, because we have to play in midfield, mate, because we haven't got anyone.
Oh, yeah. No, true.
Because there'd be no Kante and there's no cover. So it would have to be like Enzo, Chukwuemeka and Ruben, or Enzo.
Cover's out, yeah.
Yeah, Cover's out, yeah.
Fucking hell, we got no midfielders. Jesus.
We literally don't. I mean, that's one of the things. It's on the thumbnail, it's in the title. One of the things that we need to talk about. Which I don't know why I forgot until now. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But Badiashile is now also out injured.
Injured in training yesterday, I think. Yeah.
With a groin injury. I think it was even in the behind the scenes or whatever footage from Chelsea from Cobham where you can actually see him get injured as he tries to lunge for a overhead cross from, I think, Aspie. What are we doing? I know I put on the thumbnail fix this Bowley, but this is basically the second injury crisis we've had this season. We have 7 players injured right now, I think. Reece James injured, Ben Chilwell's injured, Mason Mount's injured, Koulibaly's injured, Cucurella's injured, Badiashile is now injured. Fofana is back, but just came back as well. Kovacic's injured. Kante is injured. What? What the fuck? How many more injuries are we gonna get? At this point, part of it is obviously Reece and to some extent, I guess Chile. These are kind of still lingering from when we last had an injury crisis a few months ago, I guess. But in a way, it's how can you have 2 injury crises in one season? That is just a joke to me. We need to fix something about this. And our injury record the last season or 2 wasn't the best either, but it certainly wasn't this bad. So now, do we just, Pice, do we just have too many injury-prone players, or are we doing anything wrong? I just don't know. I honestly do not know. And, with all the stuff that's being talked about Pochettino in terms of how grueling his training methods are. Like, I'm just seriously concerned that we will constantly have 15 players out injured.
Yeah, I did listen to a clip from Ricky Lambert where he said, like, essentially, Pochettino, he did some like thing on basically on Monday mornings. He used to, when he managed Southampton, he used to bring them into the training session, obviously, and at the start they used to do some, like, I think it was 12 laps around the field or something, and you had to hit it in a certain amount of time. And all the
That's what Ricky Lambert was saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, all the Southampton players said, like, we need to do something about this. So Ricky Lambert, I think he might have been the captain, he went into Pochettino's office and he said, look, this needs to stop, Gaffer. Like, we're all like tired and all that. So Pochettino said, okay, don't worry, I understand. And then but Ricky Lambert said he went back out and they were like, don't worry, I've sorted it. Like, Ricky Lambert said, don't worry, lads, I've got it sorted. And then the next Monday, like, they left it a week. They played again on the weekend. And the next Monday they came in expecting obviously to be less runs. Instead of 12 laps, Pochettino said, right, you're doing 24 laps instead. And Ricky Lambert said there'll be a time where Chelsea players, it will either completely collapse the dressing room like it has done a lot of times, or they'll get behind him and fight for him and put in the hard yards. And he said, like, he thinks the way he is as a man manager will get a lot of them on board even during the grueling time. So that was one of my concerns, because I'm like, yeah, I just already know, you know, a lot of players are going to be like, yeah, fuck this. Like, well, yeah, I don't want to do this much running. But again, I think this is the whole reason why we need a big clear out, right? We need players in that Pochettino wants to and that are going to grind for him. So, yeah, that was one of the stories there that I was a little bit concerned about.
Yeah, exactly. And like, obviously at Spurs and PSG probably did that a lot less, because I very much doubt he does that every Monday when you have a midweek game. But obviously when you have no midweek game, like he did at Southampton, like he will do a lot with us next season, then those kind of Monday things are possible. Again, if you play Tuesday or Wednesday in the Champions League, or even in a cup, I doubt he's going to make you do that on Monday, because then you're just going to be too tired to play than Tuesday or Wednesday. So, but because we're not in Europe, he might do that. But Pies, quickly before I take it to Charlie, what about our injury situation? Like, does it worry you? Like, obviously Frank spoke about a few weeks ago how the players aren't like in the best fitness that they could be. Like, do we blame the medical staff? Obviously we got rid of a lot of players. Some came back as like consultory basis now, and we still have this kind of almost celebrity physio team that almost is mainly in charge, but they only turn up every now and again to like take a look at, like, we need to do something about this, like, because this is becoming a little bit ridiculous. Like, literally Chilwell, Cucurella and Badiashile, all left-sided real defenders that we have, all have muscle injuries. Like, that's a joke, man. That's a joke. And none of them have even played that much throughout the season when you deep it, because they've all had periods where they were out of the team for ages. Obviously, Chile with injury, I guess, but Cucurella was out of the team when Chile was there. Badiashile, we often complain about that he doesn't play more. Like, how, like, you know, if Enzo Fernandez got an injury by now, I could probably somewhat understand that, because the guy's played almost every minute of every game since he's turned up. But the players that don't, like, so that's why I also asked the question, not just are we doing something wrong, but are the players we have just too injury prone? Because
Badiashile definitely isn't. I don't think he had a history.
I don't think so either, but it's just like,
if you can pull a muscle though if you overstretch. I mean, it's quite simple to do. To be fair,
of course you're right. You're right. It's just like, how many of our players is this going to happen to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like we get hit extra hard, especially this season. Also, I mean, there was a time on the Tuchel, I remember tweeting, we had like 16 injuries or something stupid. Like, we had literally most of our squad injured. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a medical expert, but I know that they hired. I think his name was like Fergal something. I think he's an Irish guy they hired this season. But they've also got rid of medical staff, haven't they? And then they even brought someone back that was like a person that the players saw because the players were unhappy, left or something. You remember that story? A few years
but they can only get
to Como, where Dennis Wise is part owner and Fabregas plays there.
Yeah, so it sounds.
And he comes back once a week, and we pay for his trip right now.
Only on a Sunday. He only comes on a Sunday.
Exactly.
I mean,
What if
is
we
that
play
the
on a
players
Sunday then? Do you know what I mean?
like is that the players being babies, or is that like generally just like we shouldn't have got rid of him? Like I don't know, man. Like
And I wonder if with this situation now that we've done this, that he comes back once a week, does that mean for next season he's going to be back permanently? Like, I wonder.
fuck knows, but they need to get a proper medical team in place. Like obviously we have medical team that run onto the pitch and stuff, but like behind the scenes, I don't think there's too many of them, is there? Like even in training lately, there's been like just like all over the shop, like just random staff everywhere. Like there's been like under 21 coaches helping Lampard and stuff. Like from top to bottom, it's just not been very organized.
No.
Hopefully Pochettino, he's got Jesus Perez, and I think his son is like a scientist slash like sports data guy, so fitness. So I mean, hopefully it improves, but fuck knows, to be honest. I don't know, man.
Hopefully, Charlie, I'll take it to you. Thoughts like another injury? What would you put this down to? And I'm very aware we're only speculating, we're only guessing. We do not simply know. But what I do know is that it's flipping frustrating. I know that.
Mate, to be honest, I probably look, as Pi said, anyone can strain a muscle and whatnot, or overstretch, or like you can just pick up freak injuries. It happens, but they're like kind of the rate of occurrence that has happened at Chelsea. I don't think it's a coincidence. And I think it just goes back to that these guys aren't fit enough or conditioned well enough, which is why they're picking up injuries all over the place. I think, honestly, like this will date back to pre-season. The pre-season campaign was an absolute disaster. We weren't fit. It didn't serve us any benefit at all. And we've been basically just been trying to play catch up all season. We weren't fit in pre-season. We're still not fit now. And, I mean, even we'll know to a degree ourselves, like when you try and exercise and you're unfit, it's fucking hard and it's easier to get injured. So I just think it's I'm not saying everyone's unfit, but when you're unfit as a collective, then the chance of you picking up injuries is going to increase. And I think it just simply boils down to that.
Yeah,
these guys just aren't fit.
It's a good point, because obviously once you start having injuries, that means other players need to then do more. And that is kind of how it kind of accumulates into a few injuries become a fair few injuries. And then a fair few injuries become quite a lot of injuries. Just because like the more you have out, the more the others have to do, I guess. I mean, I don't fully disagree with Isaac. He says, let them rejuvenate over the summer, come back and work hard to get proper fitness in preseason. And I think we'll be fine this time. I do probably agree. But I've thought that God knows how often. Do you know what I mean? I didn't necessarily, before the preseason started, even if I had a few questions about distances we were traveling, didn't necessarily think, we're on the verge of having our worst preseason ever. Who knows how this preseason is going to go? Do you know what I mean? So, God knows at this point. It's just frustrating. I hope we can stay fit a bit more next season. Obviously, having less games will also allow players to recover better between games, therefore just be injured less. And also, with that, once you have a season of being able to recover a bit more, then you will also, almost get your body in a better position to when you get back to playing more games and playing every 3 days, that your body is almost more prepared for it, because you kind of got your body into it through one game a week and then conditioned yourself for that. And then you can just build it up to also handle the 3 games a week. But at the same time, like, Frank touched on it, that they're maybe not the fittest, but yeah, I don't really know. Like, not being the fittest, is that the decisive factor in whether you pick up a groin injury when you lunge for an overhit cross?
No, but if you're not conditioned, like, your body's going to break down far more easily.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's just kind of, obviously there'll probably be a bit more to it than that, but I think that is a massive contributing factor.
But then we seriously have to look at how that happened. Like, was it pre-season?
Of course it was. Because we all know that pre-season was an absolute fucking shambles in every single department.
It's the 20th of May, bro. Like, can we still blame pre-season?
No, I'm not saying it's like it is because of pre-season, and obviously throughout the season, because we've been playing semi-regularly, like we obviously haven't had enough time to work on our fitness or get it to or improve it. Like, the fitness work is ideally done in the pre-season, and I guess you just stay on top of it in season when you can.
Well, what's to say though that they, even if Lampard had time to make them run more, that then they don't pull more muscles because of the extra running. Like, it's
Yeah, no, of course, yeah, no,
how
for
do you
sure.
sort this out? Like,
Especially if he overdoes it early in preseason without building it up. You know, there wasn't there. I forgot the name of this run test where they do like,
Well, it's like a gas. Is it like a gastro test or something?
yeah,
It's
whatever it is.
Gap on,
Like they have to do
gap on.
150
Gap on,
meters in like 45 seconds, and then they have to do 6.5 meters more each go in the same 45 seconds. Where I'm like, why 6.5 meters? Like, what is that? Is that like 7 yards or something?
Man,
I don't know.
Conte had Spurs doing those fucking runs in career, and they all been sick on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Or Gacon test or Gasson test, whatever. Gasson sounds more Spanish, so Poch doing it makes a bit more sense that way. But yeah, God knows how it's going to go. We'll have to wait and see, but it's certainly a bit of a worry. Sorry, Charlie. I just remember that we need to talk about this, as I already took you guys into the formation. You touched on back three, right?
I'll probably go with it.
Right, you would, but who do we have available? So would you then just play Chalobah, Silva, and Fofana?
Yeah,
We have to assume Fofana is fit.
Yeah, that's all we
He
can.
wasn't fit to start last week, though.
That's all we can play. So it would have to be those three.
But would it, by that logic, not be more logical to not play a back three if we only have three centre-backs?
We would just go. Well, I mean, maybe. To be honest, whatever formation we put
At
out.
the same time, if we play a back four, Chalobah will be right back anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
No, exactly. So, yeah. I probably would just edge towards the three, but ultimately, look, we're going to lose whatever system we play. I just think the three gives us a better chance of not getting battered.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Pice. Do you agree with that? Would you go for the three for that reason?
Trying to think about potential team. It's difficult because Chilwell's out as well, isn't he?
Yeah, let's go Lewis Hall. Yeah, let's go Lewis Hall.
Hall.
It's fair. Lewis Hall played pretty well the last two times against City in the Cup.
It's true. He just missed some sitters, but otherwise...
I'd go for a 3-4-3. Yeah.
3-4-3? Okay. I think that's all of the injuries. Chilwell, James, because someone in the chat asked who's injured now. Chilwell, James, Mount, Badiashile, Cucurella, Kante, Kovacic. Am I forgetting anyone?
No, Badiashile's just the only new one to the list. That was it.
Yeah. But I'm thinking if I'm forgetting one off the old list. But I think those are the ones, because that does make 7. So, and I heard that it's 7. You know, guys, I'm going to agree. I think 3-4-3, go for it, especially with the players we have available and everything. Yeah, I would go for that as well. Let's start in goal, though. Mendy got a chance last game. Didn't really take that chance, I will say.
No.
Does he stay in goal? I'll say something that will shock everyone now. I would actually keep Mendy in goal.
Well, do you know, the only, like, I get what you're saying, because it just seemed Lampard's going to look fucking stupid if he literally brings Mendy in for one game and then bins him off. Like, if you're bringing Mendy in like you did last week, surely with such little games left, you've brought him in to play for the rest of the season, surely.
I don't know. Or he gave him one game but didn't want to give him the last home game, because this is the Forest game was our last home game before the actual last home game, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
maybe it was one of those. I don't know.
I would Lampard's done as gaffer has really made any sense. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kepa was straight back in. I mean, there was no need to switch the goalkeeper. I just don't see I just didn't get the point in it at all.
If we did a predicted 11, I think Kepa will start again tomorrow from Frank, but I would keep Mendy, and I'll explain why. First of all, I've kind of had enough. I'll just put it as simply as it is. I've kind of had enough this season of fans just blaming Kepa for every goal we concede. I'm like, can't really be bothered for that. So just play Mendy. City love a long shot, especially when the opponent sits quite deep. So like Rodri and Gundogan and De Bruyne and Grealish. So I'm like, well, I can't really be bothered for Kepa to concede another long shot. So put Mendy in goal. Either he saves them, or if he doesn't, I can at least say, well, see, Mendy doesn't save all of them either. But also, we're not going to play out from the back against City. I bloody hope not. So we're going to punt it anyway. So at that point, it doesn't really matter that Kepa is so much better with his feet, because I expect us to punt it all the time. So from that point of view, I would just stick with Mendy, because as much as I was very harsh on him after the last game and during the last game on Twitter, I also, like, he might have also just had a really bad day, and I almost want to give him, like, I still think Kepa should play United and Newcastle then, but I almost want to give Mendy at least another one, if that makes sense. Would you go along with that, Pice, or would you just put Kepa back in?
I'd go with Mendy for the risk of him actually playing well and potentially. I mean, I don't know whether you can increase your price tag within a couple of games, but you know, why not play Mendy? You know, see if you can get some form back. I don't know. I guess it's also a risk because if he drops another stinker, it maybe even depreciates his value a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I would stick with him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I
Charlie,
think
would you as well, or would you go?
I mean, no, I wouldn't, but I've been outvoted 2-1, so we'll leave him in.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be upset if it's Kepa, but yeah, I explained my reasons. Back three, like you touched on, we don't really have another choice.
No, this is all we can do.
So, unless, Price, do you have any other crazy shouts?
Where's Koulibaly?
Still injured, mate, from that hamstring when he fucked himself in the Bernabeu. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, that will have to be the back three then.
Yeah. Other than Aspie playing right centre back, this is all the options we have.
Yeah, no thanks. Not against Grealish.
No,
yeah, exactly. All right. This shall be the back three then. Wing back on the left is quite straightforward. Lewis Hall.
Only one
at least he's more comfortable in a wing back than I think he's at left back. So that should be a positive. Not much of another choice either. So, I mean, I'll ask you guys about it in a second. But yeah, and then I guess we have to decide what we do midfield. Shall we do just the midfield before we do the right wing back? Because depending on what we pick in midfield,
Enzo.
It obviously decides on, is Ruben an option for a right wing back, or does he start in midfield? Therefore, it has to be Aspie at right wing back. Because Enzo is obviously going to be one of them. But then, who are the other options?
I mean, I would personally play Chukwuemeka, but if it's Lampard, I suspect Lampard will fucking play Ruben there.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, obviously we haven't seen him play in a long time, but we also haven't seen him play in the double pivot. So, like, I just don't think he's a double pivot player.
Well, then you play Ruben and you play Dave then.
Yeah. Well, no, but
if I had a prediction and of what he'll do tomorrow, I think he'll do Enzo, Gallagher, and Chukwuemeka in a 4-3-3. That is.
Well, yeah, I think
4-3-3. It could even be a 3-5-2. He could do that.
Yeah, probably because he's done that shit before. Remember what game was it? That was it Brighton at home or something? He played
3-5-2, mate. The 3-5-2 shit.
like Gallagher as a fucking striker.
But in that game, we played a 3-5-2 with Sterling and Joao Felix up front. So
yeah, but the problem is though, like we got all these wingers, and 3-5-2 just makes use of fucking none of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's used the wing. He's used Mudryk a little bit more lately, but
I didn't use him at all in the Forest game.
True.
Yeah,
it's difficult because, like, obviously, I'm very sure Gallagher will start, but in a 3-4-3 as a double pivot,
they can't start with Gallagher there. No.
But I also don't think it will. If we did predict an 11, I don't think it will be this formation and lineup. So I'm very sure still Gallagher starts, but in this formation, I think you kind of have to pick Ruben next to Enzo.
Yeah, you do.
You do. So, I mean, if Charlie agrees as well, Pice, do you agree, or would you put something different?
No, I would play Enzo as the 6, Chukwuemeka a bit more further forward, and then Ruben at right wing back.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that we've kept Chukwuemeka back, so he kind of has to start this game.
Yeah, you know what? I'm expecting us to get battered regardless. So
and then play Ruben at right wing back.
Yeah, because I guess it doesn't really matter. Now, I do think this will go really badly, but like you touched on, Chukwuemeka was kept back from the under 20s World Cup now. He might join up with the squad
the group stage,
at a later time. Not really sure why Lewis Hall then isn't joining up with the squad at a later time as well. Don't really understand that. But yeah, I guess we'll do that. Like, this is our team. I don't think this will be the team. Honestly, I don't think Chukwuemeka will start, personally.
No.
But, well, he might. If Frank does do 4-3-3, he doesn't really have many other options for an 8 other than Gallagher. So maybe he will. But yeah, I guess we'll have that on screen and see what we do up front. The first one I'll say is, I think Havertz needs to start because we're going to pump the ball long. The only player that we have that can play higher up that pitch, that can control any of those balls and keep it is Havertz. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be great. I'm not saying he will do well if he plays tomorrow, but he gives us a better chance than Felix does, than Aubameyang does.
I mean, Felix up against like Diaz and Stones is not going to be ideal.
It's just pointless. Like, it might not work out, and it probably won't work out, but it gives you the best chance of doing anything. Like, we're going to punt a lot of long balls. I'm very sure of it. And then you just have to hope that Havertz gets a flick on and gets it to someone next to him and they can do something. That's our only hope. But for me, it has to be Havertz. Price, do you agree with that for those reasons? Or do you disagree and would play someone else?
I mean, no, I probably do agree with you because we do need an outlet as such up there. Yeah. You know, I mean, Havertz at least got height. I think from corners as well, we need someone tall. I know Ruben might play, but you know, Chukwuemeka's quite decent height. But Havertz is good defensively as well from corners. So yeah, I would play Havertz if it's this formation.
Yeah, Charlie, do you agree as well, or?
Yeah, aggressively, I do agree. You know, it's got to a pretty low point when we're all in agreement that Kai Havertz has to start. But this is where we're at. Yeah, look, Felix, I don't think is not gonna be effective against Stones and Diaz. He's going to offer no physical presence up there whatsoever. I mean, at least Havertz can put himself about a little bit. Aubameyang's not going to play, so yeah, it's going to have to be Havertz.
Yeah. It will be. Charlie, I'll stick with you. Who would you pick around Havertz then?
I'd play Mudryk and Madueke, but I know full well that Sterling's going to play. So,
do you not think Sterling warrants starting after the last 2 goals?
Yeah, but he's just lured us in. He's banged in 2 goals, and he'll just revert back to his usual shit self that he's been all season.
And it being against City, is that at all
no, because he's played them. No, I don't think so, because he's got a terrible record against his former clubs.
Fair enough.
Didn't know that. He didn't score against Liverpool once. He's never scored against Liverpool.
Ever?
No. I'd go Mudryk Madueke, but I know full well that Sterling's going to start, and I suspect Madueke will probably start as well, which will be even more pissed off that Mudryk is left out again. But I'd go Mudryk Madueke, but I know that it won't be that.
Fair enough. I mean, Pice, would you pick those 2 as well, or would you pick someone different in your team?
I'd go Mudryk on the left, Sterling on the right, and then I'll play Madueke against Man United. Yeah. Okay. Because I think Madueke has played a lot recently as well. And
he started the last 2, has he? 3 even. Started the last 3. Arsenal, Bournemouth, and Forest.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I'm kind of... I don't really want to start Joao Felix. I guess we could have maybe touched on those news as well, that apparently Newcastle might be interested, and some reports said Newcastle are the only ones willing to pay it. And then Joao Felix himself replied in the comments, like, you know, a bunch of know-it-alls type thing. So that's interesting. But now, what you just told me, Charlie, in terms of that he has a dreadful record against his former clubs, that's made me kind of question it. But I did think Sterling deserves, after those 2 goals, particularly the second one, I think he deserves a chance. Like, if we're doing anything on the basis of meritocracy, I think then you need to keep him in the side. And then you decided between Mudryk and Madueke. I just think with the way the game against City is going to go, our only chance, even if against Walker, although Walker might actually get rested, and Rico Lewis might play for all we know.
Well, particularly if Arsenal lose, City can just play whatever team they want.
If Arsenal lose and they're already champions, then they might rest the whole team, basically. But that's a whole different conversation then, I guess. But then to me, Havertz laying it off to like Mudryk and laying it off to one of the 2 and then both of them running past him. Almost a little bit like Liverpool used to do when they had Firmino obviously as the false 9 and then Salah and Mane running, you know, the channels next, like outside of him. That's probably our best chance, but I still don't give us much of a chance. I don't know if I'd pick Sterling on Mudryk. Sterling on Madueke. I'm just going to write down both. I can't really decide if I'm being perfectly honest. And at the end of the day, the season's done. The season is dead. I don't think whether the one or the other start makes a difference to the result, if I'm honest. So I don't really care. I mean, Charlie, Pice went for Sterling now. Do you really care anymore at this point? I know you're going tomorrow and stuff, but it's so done. Our attackers aren't going to do anything. I mean, this Man City
we're just fulfilling
Real Madrid at this stadium 4-0, and they could have scored. They could have won 7-1, other than when Cruz hit the bar. They literally could have easily scored 7-8 goals. Like, it doesn't matter what forwards we put on the pitch. Let's be honest.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, like, it'd probably be easier for us to forfeit the game and take a 3-0 loss because that might be a better option for us. Just not turn up. But I mean,
it probably would be.
Oh well, we're not going to turn up, and either way, we're not turning up anyway. So it's yeah, it's one of them. Innit? We've been the season's been done for ages. These guys checked out fucking months and months ago. Yeah, as I said, it's, we just got to make sure it's not a humiliation.
Yeah, and even that, I'm not too sure about. I'm very much ready for humiliation. But Pice, I assume similar thoughts where whether it's Stern or it's Madueke, it doesn't really matter at this point. It doesn't, does it?
Yeah, no, I don't really care. I'll be real.
Yeah, especially for this one against United, where maybe we stand a small chance, even in much better seasons, we never got anything at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I want to beat United because
our record against United is so bad in the league.
Yeah.
Also, they need a point just to get top 4. So if we beat United, then they'll.
Won't they play a game before that though?
No, they play us and then Fulham.
They just beat Bournemouth today.
Yeah, okay. Because obviously I missed a lot of what was happening today, so I didn't really know who played and who didn't. Yeah, beat Bournemouth. Bloody Casemiro goal. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round this one out. It's a tough one. It's a long day. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see after. We'll either just laugh ourselves happy, laugh through the pain, or we'll have the biggest shock result of the season. And that could even mean a draw, because I would be shocked even if we get a draw. AMS Hub said they got top 4.
No, they need one more point.
Yeah, I think so. There you go. Finish it off with us. We're going to finish it off with a score prediction, shall we, boys? Charlie, I'll let you go first. Whether you want to go with the heart or the head, whatever.
I think I'll give us a goal. I think we'll lose 3-1. But it's a generous 3-1, that.
Yeah, it's got to be a generous 3-1. Pice, what do you reckon?
Well, if Arsenal lose, then they may put a weak team out, which in that case, I'll say 2-1 to them. If they play to be fair, what even is Man City's weak team? But I'm saying if they play
their weak team. Oh, we're gonna play Mahrez instead of Bernardo Silva. We're gonna play Foden instead of Grealish. Oh,
yeah. No, if it goes the way I expect it to go, I'm gonna go like 5-1 City. Yeah, I'm gonna go 5-1. Yeah.
Bro, I was thinking like 4-0, maybe 4-1, if I'm honest. And I very much usually refrain from predicting losses, other than for two-legged affairs where I'm like, yeah, but we can turn it around in a second leg. Otherwise, I'm very, very hesitant to pick a defeat, but I have to. I'm gonna say 3-0. I'm gonna go quite as high with the 4, but honestly, I know you both predicted us to score. I don't see it. I'll be honest. I don't really see it. But yeah, Edison own goal. Maybe he'll feel some pity for us. Maybe that will help us out. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time we wrap this one up. Let's see if City are already becoming champions today by Arsenal losing to Forest. That would be fun. Makes tomorrow. Does that mean we would already have to give them a guard of honor tomorrow then?
We would, because they'd be champions.
Yeah. But would I care at this point? No. Give them a guard of honor then. To be honest, they deserve it. One of the best teams literally ever, especially if they do manage to get the treble, which I don't want them to. But they might well do it, and I can't do nothing about it, let's be honest. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, I appreciate you very much. The ones of you that have tuned in today, subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to Charlie's channel. Link is down in the description. Just click the @ down in the description, takes you to his channel, and subscribe. Please do check out Pice's website, londonsfirst.com. We looked at an article on there earlier. Obviously, in this case, we looked at specifically Manuel Ugarte. So if you want to know anything more in terms of tactical things, transfer news, Pochettino news, check out the website, londonsfirst.com. Like I say, link is down in the description. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. Let's hope and pray tomorrow, and we'll see you next time.